Hi guys, I'm Kill2 here with Ravy, and we're about to watch Perihelion versus Paisti Syndicate. On the left for Perihelion, we have their command ship, Balgorn, 2 Abaddons, Absolution, Guardian, 2 Flycatchers, and 3 Sabers.
And on the right-hand side of your screen for Paisti, we've got 2 Sleipnirs, 3 Rooks, a Scimitar, a Thrasher, and 3 Kitsunes. Now, fun fact, this team that Paisti is flying is actually the exact ship setup that knocked them out of the tournament last year. They're looking to turn that experience around and see if they can get themselves a confirmed entry into the finals with this.
Now, Perihelion has some good things going for him here. You get a good sense of the ranges in that shot. That's good. There are a lot of Amar, which is good. Amar is going to be the least frequent racial jammer type on the Paisti team, if I'm not mistaken. But there's some things going against them as well, like the fact that these destroyers will probably be perma-jammed for the whole fight because of being the only Minotaur and Kaldari ships on the field. And
when you are going up against an ECM team, you really don't want to have the bulk of your DPS and utility focused into a small number of battleships. It's better to have a spread of smaller, medium-sized ships. And we're seeing the Sabers for Perihelion dying very quickly to those Sleipnirs. We've already seen 2 Sabers down, and 1 Flycatcher is about to follow.
Yeah, for now, looking pretty strong, looking like most of the uses for PL using the setup. They used it twice now. Whoa, Kitsune taking a little bit of damage. Something got a lock.
Yep, we did see one of the Abaddons, it looks like, fire in there. But yes, the Kitsunes are, although very weak, they're also very hard to hit with large turrets. So it looks like he got a glancing blow on it, brought him down into armor, but then he got repped right back up.
Actually, a Rook taking damage now as well. This team is getting some locks. And of course, if they can kill a Rook, they really open up a lot more opportunity to kill another Rook. And
that Rook is in a lot of trouble. He's getting repped up back a bit, but now he's down into armor.
Ooh, into armor. It would be really cool if they killed this. It's always awesome to see a setup that looks dominant, that people complain about being dishonorable, have trouble when it's fielded by someone else.
He's got an Absolution right on top of him, which can't be helping if that ever does get a lock as well. But most of the damage looks to be coming from the 1 Abaddon. We can see that the Abaddons and the Absolutions are definitely all running ECCM modules, which is going to be helping them a lot in this matchup.
Now, they took out 4 of the interdictors on the Perihelion side. They've got 1 to go, but it looks like for the most part the damage coming from Paisti is actually pretty light.
Yeah, well, they've got the missiles and the damage from the Sleipnirs, and most of that's now going on to the Guardian. That Rook is just in the slightest sliver of structure. He's probably going to go down with the next volley.
Yeah, another good volley. Oh, they're pulling it back.
If that Rook is smart, he'll be trying to pull range as much as possible because he's right now probably just on the edge of the Scorch range for that Abaddon.
I mean, obviously, I guess it's crazy. I wonder if he was out of range of the logistics for a while there.
It's possible. What I think happened is he just eased within the Scorch range of the Abaddon, which is the problem, and now he's pulled himself back up. We're still seeing the lasers hitting on him, but they're not doing nearly as much damage anymore.
And now that Abso has a lock, so that'll be a lot of damage when he's lined up, although Perihelion just lost their logistics. Their Guardian just went down.
That's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
With that, we'll probably see one of the battleships get hit, likely the Balgorn for Perihelion. And if so, then we may end up seeing the first dead flagship of this tournament.
Yeah, right. That could be very expensive.
We are first going to have the Flycatcher as primary for Paisti Syndicate, though. And it looks like Perihelion's trying some new targets. They're switching a bit of damage onto the Thrasher of Falu.
I guess sort of what this says is that if you bring a lot of Amar, you at least get an opportunity to deal with this jamming team. But it still doesn't get you all the way there.
Part of the problem is, when we do see a Rook now webbed and nuded, probably by the Balgorn, that's going to be a big deal because his jammers will be turned off even if he doesn't die right away.
Except the problem is that the Balgorn's not going to be able to kill it, probably. And if nothing else has a lock, it doesn't... Ooh!
We are seeing laser fire on him, and he's dropping... And there he goes.
Wow,
we now see a Rook down for Paisti.
Now, if they can start opening up locks and they can keep that Balgorn tackling stuff, it's totally possible still that Perihelion could turn this around.
But meanwhile, the Absolution for Perihelion is going down very quickly. He's not going to be survive much longer. And the Flycatcher. Yes, we're seeing split damage on the Rooks. Quite possibly the battleships are close to different Rooks and therefore firing to whichever they can lock. We'll see.
Oh, man. The Absol's getting really low, and I really, really would like to see another Rook go down and see this jamming setup get folded up, but...
The trouble with using these Amar battleships is, yes, it's going to be easier to get unjammed, but also you're a lot slower, which means that these, even if you do get unjammed, getting actual good hits on fast ships like the Rook that can hit from long range is always going to be very difficult. And the Absolution goes down for Perihelion.
Abso goes down, Rook at half structure. There goes the second Rook. Only 1 Rook left now for Paisti Syndicate. still only 4 ships, so the amount of jamming that needs to get done by the Paisti side is a lot less.
Yep. And we're now seeing the Balgorn for Perihelion as the target, and that would be a very expensive loss if that armor disappears. We'll see what happens. The final rook for Paisti is the primary from Perihelion, but he's getting repped up pretty well. He's probably keeping decent range.
I'm trying to check and see where these Slipners are at some point. Once they can, I mean, even if there's still 1 rook on the field, wow, they are in range to do damage to that rook. He's now getting plastered pretty hard. So if they take him down, I don't know. That Balgorn's going down pretty fast.
Yes, I think it's a question of whether or not that Balgorn can survive long enough to take down the rook and maybe a few of the Kitsunes. Because 2 Slepners versus 2 Abaddons and a couple Kitsunes just breaking their locks occasionally, I would put my money on the Slepner team in that case.
You put 2 Slipners against just the 2 Abaddons.
Just the 2 Abaddons if the Balgorn goes down, yeah.
Right. The Abaddons run into a real problem with tackle once the Balgorn's gone. So, and that rook got all his shields back.
The mobility of the ECM team is what's really taking them right now. It's giving them this win if they do end up getting it.
Right.
Even with the jamming being, a lot of it being gone, they still have a lot more mobility than the Battleship team.
And it looks like this flagship is probably not going to make it.
We've got our first flagship brought into structure, and he's dropping quite quickly now.
Now, part of the joy of having the fittings, divulged publicly is that we got to know kind of exactly how disastrous these losses were, and we don't know that right now. But
I'm sure Paisti will be kind enough to put it up onto their kill board for us very soon, and we can all start F5ing that right now.
That's probably, I mean, you can spend what on one of these flagships if you really wanted to go all out?
You can spend dozens of billions quite easily, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be pretty painful.
We are seeing more damage going on to Taddy's rook, the final rook, which is in low armor, but he's getting brought right back up to full shields by his scimitar very quickly. I don't think that we're going to see too much more deaths on the side of Paisti because they can just stay out of range of these Abaddons, get repped up, and the Slepners will do all the damage they need to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised with the Abaddons. I feel like that's, just like in the last match where we saw the Paladins, it really presents this huge problem of how do you deal with a team that can outrange you.
Yeah, a team of Legions or Absolutions probably would have been a much stronger team against this ECM
that would
group.
be nice. Replacing the Slipners with Absos. I mean, how viable would that be?
You'd have to switch to armor tanking, which would free up your mid slots, but I think the Slepner is probably the overall better ship.
It's better. What if you if you know you're going to be fighting jamming and you really want a Mar,
yeah, you can do a rush with the Absos. They're not as fast as the Mimitar battlecruisers, but they are still a lot faster than an Abaddon, especially a plated Abaddon.
Right. At least have the option of getting close to stuff.
Yes. And you'll be able to, at some point, catch up to some of these rooks that come near the edge of the arena. But at this point, we've got one of the Abaddons for Perihelion Alliance going into structure. Once he goes down, the remaining 3 Kitsunes and 1 rook is probably going to get a permagem, the entire rest of the Perihelion team, and we will probably just see them die relatively slowly because of the great tank on these Abaddons, but die nonetheless.
And they did snap that destroyer off at some point there too, so just 1 Abaddon left. Kind of too bad. I felt like they really were almost there. That if they would have just kept the rooks in range a little longer or whatever, had locks a little bit longer, this really could have gone.
Yeah, it really did. Look, this is one of the only cases that we've seen a strong ECM team lose ships and still win, which isn't something you see every day. Right.
Although all the other times we've seen this exact setup fielded, not 1 ship has been lost. When you guys have brought it, obviously, it's just completely dominated the match every time.
So with this win, Paisti will be guaranteeing a spot in the finals. There is only 1 minute and 56 seconds left, but I think that should be plenty of time for the 2 Slepners to finish off the Abaddon. And Paisti were a team that did quite well last year. They got knocked out in the round of 16 by PL by this exact ECM team that they're using now. So that's showing that they really know how to learn from the other setups being used around them, and that's a very dangerous attribute.
And, as you said, they lock up their spot in the finals by winning this match. And actually, as we're going forward into the next 2 matches, every team is coming in with 1 win. Is that right, in the next 2 matches?
Actually, the next 2 matches, it's 2 losers and then 2 winners.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 sets.
So,
but in this case, Perihelion will still have a chance to advance, but they're going to need to win their match on Saturday. Their match will be a must-win, or must-win.
Must-win. And we have any idea who they're going to play?
It should be... Actually, do not know. It'll be either Vanguard or
It doesn't
Severance.
matter. We'll make Michael Bolton tell us back in the studio, and that's a strong win for Paisti.